As a sales development representative, your goal is to generate outbound opportunities and optimize your sales channel. But without a solid prospecting strategy, you might struggle to identify and capitalize on all the valuable leads that are being generated. This could result in missed opportunities and stagnant sales growth. But to truly excel in your role, you need to master the 4 steps outlined in this video. Because without these steps, converting leads into customers is going to become ever increasingly, ever so more challenging. So stay tuned as we dive into each step. All right, step 1 in our journey to sales mastery is all about hitting the books, or in our case, diving into some deeper research. I want you to think of yourself as a detective. Your mission to uncover the hidden markets and channels where your dream customers are just sat there waiting for someone to show up and solve their problems. It's not just about guessing where these prospects might be, it's about using solid data to back up your moves. This means getting cozy with customer behavior, analyzing profiles, and even going a little bit deeper with the insights to pinpoint exactly where these potential buyers are. So, that might seem like a lot of fluff, right? So how do we actually start? Well, we begin with the basics. What do your potential customers actually like? What do they want? What do they need? And secondly, where do they hang out? This is so important. And the best way, undoubtedly, to uncover this information is to look back at your previous customers and find the trends that tie them together. Do all your meetings come from the same specific email within a sales cadence? Do they all want to discuss a specific product or specific feature out of the tens or hundreds of opportunities that you have to potentially help them? If you take one thing away from this video, let it be this, right? I want you to always reverse engineer success rather than trying to create it from scratch. Use this reverse engineered information to guide your prospecting efforts, and make sure that you're not just throwing loads of time at places where you're never going to do business and you're just shooting in the dark. Now, you might be wondering, okay, well, what happens next after finding out where these folks are? And that is where the magic of lead generation comes into play. Stick around, because that's what we're going to dive into next. So moving on to step 2, we're going to talk about lead generation. And this isn't just a buzzword that you can hear sales leadership and your marketing buddies throwing around. It's the bread and butter for any sales development representative. Think about your lead generation as if you are off fishing. You've got the pond, you know exactly what you want to catch. Now it's time to put your line in the water and hopefully win big. But instead of fish, we're obviously after leads. And instead of a pond, we're diving into the markets and channels that we talked about in the previous step. Now, to generate these sales leads, you need to master the art and the science of cold emailing, cold calling, and social outreach as well. And yes, I can hear the groans from here. I don't want to do cold calling. I want to sit behind my LinkedIn profile, whatever it is that you think you want to be doing to generate leads. But this is where the rubber hits the road. What you've got to do to generate tons of meetings in your SDR role is to do what the market wants you to do. Let me say that again. You don't get to choose where or how you prospect. You've got to do, if you want to have massive success in the role, you've got to do what the market demands of you. If you're selling to farmers who are out in a field all day, every day with no signal, prospecting them on LinkedIn is probably not going to work. Alternatively, if you are dealing with a middle management, they have an office, they don't work from home, and there's an office phone, there's a big stinking office phone sat next to them on the desk, you should absolutely be cold calling them. It is literally that simple. And if you're thinking about skipping this part, let me stop you right there. The top sales development reps, they are wizards at this game. Cold calling, cold emailing, and reaching out over social media are your direct lines to potential leads. And so it's time to start dialing in those skills. First up, cold calling. This isn't just about picking up the phone and hoping for the best. It's about having confidence. It's about knowing your pitch inside out. And most importantly, it's about listening. That's right. It's about listening to the person on the other end so you can adjust your strategy based on what they give you. And we won't go any further into cold calling in this video because I've covered it extensively on this channel. If you want to improve your cold calling skills, take a look at some of the proven cold calling scripts, templates, guides, and videos that I'll include in the description below this video. And then we have cold emailing. This is your chance to craft a message that not only gets opened, gets read, but then gets a response. You need to personalize it, you need to make it relevant, and above all, you need to make it clear in the email itself what's in it for them, what's in it for the buyer. Your cold email should not be, which I see all of the time, I do this, I'm the best at that. Our organization has these awards. Your buyer doesn't care. You've got to make it extremely clear and succinct what's in it for them, the problem that you're going to solve, and how quickly you can solve it. And creating cold emails that book meetings is to be honest, if you've got the right value proposition nailed, it's pretty easy. Before you do any cold outreach, whether it's a step in your cadence, whether it's a follow-up, whatever it is, ask yourself the question, am I contacting the right person with the right message at the right time? If you do that, you're going to be 90% of the way there to booking tons of meetings. Ryan O'Hara made this clear in a recent episode of the Salesman podcast.
It's almost like the purpose of a cold email now is no longer to say, hey, buy my product, let's get a meeting, or qualify or disqualify out. Maybe it is to you. The real purpose of a cold email is to get a response. And the best way to get a response is to prove that the prospect's important to you.
And hey, once you've got a handle on this, then it becomes about expanding your network. So stay tuned because we're going to dive into networking next. Because who you know in complex, large deal size B2B sales can be just as important as how you go about selling and communicating. All right, we're moving into the realm of networking, and I'm not talking about your internet connection here. This is step 4, where face-to-face interactions become your secret weapon. Now, networking is all about building those real, genuine, either on LinkedIn, but hopefully way beyond LinkedIn, trust-based relationships that open doors that you didn't even know currently exist. Think of it like planting seeds all around your marketplace that could grow into lead generation trees. Now, of course, throw another random metaphor there at you. You might be thinking, how do I even start doing this? Just give me some practical advice. Well, it's actually pretty simple. Begin with the circles that you're already in. Attend some industry events, seminars, workshops. Don't just be a wallflower. Ask people questions, engage with them, share your insights, be proactive with all of this. Try to become known as somewhat of influence within your industry. And remember, the goal here is to be genuine. People can smell insincerity from a mile away. So I'll give you an example. My last sales role, where I was in the trenches day in, day out, was a medical device sales role. I didn't just go to work, try and flog some shit, and then come home. That's not how you do long-term and effective lead generation. I networked. I went to the big urology and gynecology conferences, and I went and spoke to different surgeons, my potential customers. I took surgeons and did extra hours outside the kind of the demanded hours of the role to take surgeons out for training. I introduced different surgeons to different trusts, NHS trusts here in the UK, so they got to mingle. And as you start doing this, you start to get insights on, oh, we're building this new wing. Nobody else knows about it. Don't tell anyone. This might be an opportunity for you to get in here. Or we've just had this budget through. This surgeon is leaving. This surgeon is coming. You get to understand what's going on behind the scenes. And that is absolutely invaluable as a salesperson or an SDR who's trying to develop more leads. And I encourage you as an SDR to get stuck into your industry. And up next, we're going to talk about social selling, which is it's made all this way easier and sometimes a little bit too easy, and so there's not as effective as what people would like to think. But done in the right way, social selling can be a game changer of how we connect and sell in the digital age. We're going to cover that now. So social selling isn't just posting random stuff on LinkedIn as an SDR and hoping that someone connects with you. It's got to be strategic. It's got to be a strategic move that keeps you on the radar of your potential customers. Being top of mind isn't about spamming their feed. It's about showing up as a go-to expert that they can trust. And look, if you've been an SDR for 6 months, you absolutely know more about that specific part of your industry, your product, the buying process, your value proposition than your buyers ever will. You've got one specific priority here, which is to have engaged conversations with potential customers. You know, again, just by sitting with your bum in the seat for 6 months, never mind if you've been doing it for 2 years, if you've been doing it for just 6 months, you undoubtedly have more knowledge on that subject than your typical B2B buyer who has 57 different priorities, and they might only buy your product or service once every decade. So leverage that expertise to become known as the trusted expert in your space. Now, choosing the right platform is absolutely crucial. I'm going to echo what I said earlier in the video. You don't get to choose where you go. Well, you can choose where you go prospecting, but you might not get any leads from it. You don't get to choose if you want to be successful. You've got to go where your buyers are. Are your buyers hanging out on LinkedIn? If you're selling to salespeople, all salespeople are on LinkedIn, just skiving and not doing any work all day. That'd be a great place to prospect them. Are you selling to people in the entrepreneur space or people who are in the media space? And Twitter is probably the place to hang out and spend time with them. Are you trying to sell to influencers? Maybe they're on Instagram, maybe they're on YouTube. You've got to go where your buyers are. Wherever they are, essentially, that's where you need to be. You need to be sharing content that resonates, engages, and educates. But remember, this is not a one-size-fits-all deal. Tailor your approach to each platform so you strike the right chord with your audience. If you want to learn more about becoming a trusted advisor in your space via social selling, grab the free book, Selling Made Simple. You can grab a copy completely for free from salesman.com today. I cover absolutely in detail what you need to do to become known, to become trusted on platforms like LinkedIn, because that's where most B2B buyers are going to be if we're being real about this. And then it's just a case of being consistent, so important, and authentic. Share your insights, comment on industry news, engage in conversations. It's not that difficult. It genuinely is not that difficult to become known in your space. And then when you become known and when you outreach to an individual who recognizes you, the chance of booking a meeting with them absolutely skyrockets. In a recent Salesman podcast episode, Daniel Disney puts it this way.
When social selling, when using LinkedIn especially, we are using it for a work purpose, whether it's to get a job, whether it's to generate sales and get customers. We are using it to get an outcome. And so we need to bring our professional selves into it and treat it and our prospects and our customers and our audience the same way we would if we were sat with them face to face.
Remember, social selling isn't a quick fix. It's about building relationships consistently over time. Stick with it and you'll see just how powerful it can be to generating those much needed SDR sales leads. So if you found value in these strategies to amp up your lead generation game in your SDR role, don't stop here. Click the video that's popped up on your screen right now and continue making selling simple.